What is going on, my fast friends? Welcome to another Moto-R moto vlog. Welcome to the channel. Today we are with the 2021 Aprilia RS660 acid gold model. This week's video is gonna be a little bit negative towards the Aprilia RS660. I have had a long road with this bike, man. I would tell you everything that has gone wrong with the Aprilia. Now, disclaimer, although things have gone wrong, I still love the bike. The things I have said about the bike in past videos are still valid. We will throw a leg over this motorcycle, ride it for a few, and I will tell you my story. Alright guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and go ahead and before the video ends, just go ahead and like it. Might as well. It does help the channel a lot. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, guys. I have bought this motorcycle in March of 2021. I actually got the first acid gold in the DFW area, or at least sold in the DFW area, by the only Aprilia shop in the DFW area. And I gotta say, I thought that was I was proud of that. Yeah, I took delivery of my motorcycle in spring break of 2021, and I put about 200 miles on it. And as I was riding around my motorcycle, all of a sudden threw a engine check light. I went home and I decided to clean the bike, and upon cleaning the bike I noticed there was a crack on my engine block closer to my swing arm. If you don't know, the engine of the RS660, the frame, it's attached to the frame, attached to the swing arm mount, and so as you can expect, that wasn't a very good thing. The shop picked it up, brought it back to the dealership, and basically told me that they will have to give me a new motorcycle. So this is not the motorcycle that I first bought in March. After about a month and a half of waiting, the dealership lets me know that they got an Aprilia RS660 in, and that there was a couple recalls. They had to do something tuning with the ABS, and they had to work on the valve clearance. So that was the second time my bike stayed in the shop longer than it had to, which I guess you can't really say a recall is a big issue. Even if it has a lot of recalls, as long as they fix it in a timely manner. I got my motorcycle back and I was able to put at least 1,200 miles on it, thank God. And then I noticed that the bike started leaking oil. Now, that's what I thought it was. So I brought the motorcycle back. Right where the engine meets the oil pan, I noticed slight leakage. And when I checked my oil, it wasn't that bad. The levels were still good. I thought, you know, it wasn't a leakage, it was more of a seepage. I still rode it around for a little bit. It wasn't a big issue. And then I decided to go ahead and bring it in and see if they can do something about it. So I go ahead and bring it to the shop. They check it out, they look at it, and they told me it was actually fumes, you know, building up from a charcoal filter, which I have never heard of a charcoal filter in my life. So to me it was kind of weird. They ended up cleaning it up a little bit, told me that they fixed the issue. I know I looked at forums and everything, and a lot of people on other bikes have completely taken out their charcoal filter. And I'm not gonna say I know what it is. I may post something here that explains it a little bit, just so you kind of know what I'm talking about. But that's what they tell me it is. So I took it back. It was in the shop for about a week, and then I put a couple more 100 miles on it. Oh, look at the dog. I put a few more miles on it, and here comes the fourth issue, I started seeing a little bit more seepage from the same spot, and I noticed that the bottom of my belly pan was completely black. Like, you touch it, you could tell it's oil. I was like, there's no way. And I hope that when I bring this back to them, they're not gonna shrug it off as a charcoal filter issue. So I brought it back to them, and they're like, oh yeah, that's definitely a leak. So they ended up taking the bike in, finding out it was a oil pan gasket issue, and the bike had to stay in for a few weeks because they didn't have the parts. And I'm starting to notice a trend with and not just the dealership. There's nothing this has nothing to do with the dealership or how it handles things. They didn't have the parts, so they ordered it. It was a pretty quick turnaround, and my bike was in and out in like a week and a half. Although I have a trailer, this stuff was pretty annoying because I hate trying to get my trailer up and running and put it in on my car and loading it up and all of that. So most of the time I'll just ride my bike to the shop, to the dealership, and I will just take an Uber home, and when it's ready, if I can find a ride or take another Uber, I'll go pick it up again. And that costs me a lot of money, especially when you're using Uber multiple times. So on to the next issue. I rode this motorcycle to about 2,000 miles, maybe just under. I noticed another leak. Now, it was kind of in the same area of the oil pan gasket, and I honestly thought it was the oil pan gasket leaking again, and I was annoyed. I was pissed off at this point. I was already looking at other bikes and all that. I was just annoyed, man. And so I went to the dealership, I brought the bike in, I showed them what the issue was, and this thing was like leaking onto my rear sets. That's how bad it was leaking. And the last time it didn't leak that bad. It was a little bit more watery, I would say, you know, but I also noticed like my oil levels wasn't dropping. I still rode it around for quite some time. You know, everything on my bike stayed okay, no warning indicators or anything like that. So when I finally had the time to bring it in, I rode it into the dealership, I dropped it off. They gave me a call in about a week, and my service manager at the dealership told me that it wasn't my oil pan, and it was actually my water pump. Another new thing I've never dealt with when it came to a motorcycle is my water pump was leaking. They didn't have the parts again, had to order it from Aprilia. It came in a few days, it came like in a couple days, so I'm not mad about any of the things that the dealership had to deal with when it comes to ordering the parts and fixing it. About a week and a half, I got the motorcycle back and everything was running well. After a few more miles, I noticed that my excess tube for my gas tank was leaking. This was the last issue, guys. I promise this was the last issue I've had with the motorcycle. So my excess tube for my gas right below the bike, right below the belly pan, was leaking, and I decided to just bring it in because after a few days it started to really stink up my garage. Now, okay, I know you're trying to solve my problems when I'm talking about it, so I'm just gonna tell you how I knew that this was an actual problem. First of all, even when I was at half tank, even when I was at a quarter tank, my excess tube would be leaking, and it would leak not like super fast. It wouldn't leak like a lot. It would leak for about 10 minutes, have a big old droplet, wet space in my garage, wet spot of gas in my garage or wherever I was. So I would take pictures of it, right? Because I don't want the dealership or Aprilia when they do a warranty claim to say that it's not doing what it's doing. I started taking pictures of them, and I probably had about 5 to 6 different pictures in different spots, because every time it wouldn't happen when I was riding, it was every time I stopped and turned off the motorcycle. So in my garage when I got home, or you know, at a gas station or at work, it would do its thing. It would leak, and I was just not happy. After a while I got annoyed. I didn't like my garage smelling like fuel all day every day. I had to open it up every now and then just to air it out. It was so bad. Well, I bring the bike and the pictures, and even when I brought the bike to the dealership, I showed it to them, because as soon as I stopped, it started leaking again. And they're like, oh yeah, we've done about 4 or 5 of these, don't worry about it, we will get it taken care of. They didn't even want my pictures because they've done, you know, they've worked on these issues so many times that it wasn't new to them. This one took a while, and they said that the Aprilia always gives them a hard time about this warranty claim because it's not widespread, which is weird, knowing that one dealership is having 4 to 5 bikes that they got to replace, and replace the gas tank, that is. So that issue is that the gas tank for some reason wasn't completely sealed, or the sealants weren't working, and they had to replace the entire gas tank. So yes, this is my second motorcycle, and yes, this is my second gas tank on this motorcycle. All right guys, well, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. Those are all the problems so far in under a year actually that I've had with the 2021 Aprilia RS660. If you've had any of these issues, you know, let me know in the comments down below. If you are worried about any of these issues, don't be. It's usually easy fixes. Granted, they can get the part in a timely manner, then it shouldn't be too hard. Nothing that I've said here has anything to do with the legitimacy of the dealership that I bought this from. They actually have done an awesome job regarding the motorcycle, you know, and look, I'm always gonna say this, I'm always gonna say the same thing. It's not what happens, you know, because you can't help what happens to a motorcycle when you buy it. They don't build it. It's, do they make things right? Does the dealership, does the shop that you bought it from take care of you and make things right? Guys, this is Moto-R. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for taking a few minutes of your day to watch my video. You could have been doing anything in this entire world, and you chose to spend a little bit of that time with me. Peace.